I actually almost forgot. Just before going to bed, I realized we have this class. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Airiyanam, Namo Uvajjayanam, Namo Loe Savasamunam. Jai Jinendra Sabiko. We are on chapter 9 of VV2, story of Bhagwan Parshna. Should we do you guys want to summarize Namakar Mantra first? Or should we read this story first? Oh, we have 2 more chapters. I thought we did Bhagwan Parshnartha, maybe. Yeah, did somebody read and summarize it in the last class? Otherwise, let's quickly read it.
Yeah, I think we were supposed to just read it on our own.
Somehow, I think you guys have read it because I remember these names, Jinesh, Ramesh. It's okay. Yeah, because anyway, okay, let's quickly read it then. So who wants to be Adhyapak? Quickly decide so I can assign. So there's like quite a few characters. Ramesh, Adhyapak.
I can do it.
Okay. So let's see. Okay, Dinesh. Dinesh can be Adhyapak, then Ramesh, Arunji, then there's a Jinesh or Suresh first. Suresh can be Viraj, and then there's Jinesh that can be Bahubaliji. Okay, remember your characters. Okay, let's read it quickly.
Okay. The introduction, does somebody want to read first, or should we just go right in?
Is there an introduction here too? Okay, let's see. Oh, yes. Okay. So introduction, Safaltaji, do you want to read that one?
Ji, I can.
Chalo, let's start.
A pioneer in writing spiritual poetry steeped into the sentiment of vairagya, detachment, Bhuttar Dasji holds a significant place amongst the ancient Jain poets. His verses, lyrics, and poetry are sung with great respect in the religious community. He lived in Agra and was born in the Khandelwal Jain community, as is clear from the last verse of his Jain Shatak. आगरा में बल बुद्धि बुधरा खंडेलवाल बालक के ख्याल सो कविता कार जाने हैं. He was well versed in Hindi and Sanskrit. 3 of his writings are available at present: Jain Shatak, Parshva Puran, and Pad Sangraha. Jain Shatak is a collection of around 100 different types of verses, which are very simple to understand and fosters vairagya, detachment. Parshva Puran can be placed in the category of great epics of Hindi literature. It describes the life of the 23rd Tirthankar, Bhagwan Parshvanath. It is filled with a very high level of poetic applications, and along with that, there are interesting explanations of many fundamental principles. His spiritual lyrics continue to excite the masses due to their popularity, simplicity, and melodious verses even today. The presented lesson is written based on the Parshva Puran authored by him.
Okay. So, like, as you know, the way we read every chapter, the first page is usually an introduction to the author. Not really, I mean, not the author of this book, but the author of that story. So, now if you remember, we have gone through so many different authors so far, and some of them were acharya, some of them were sadhus, and this doesn't look like he was a sadhu. He was just a pandit. And and he was a poet, right? Something to notice. I mean, I'm sure you understood what she read so far, but Bhudar Das Ji was just a lay person, right? In Jainism, we don't have the Brahman, Shudra. I mean, not in the sense in the way it is in Hinduism, even though those classification can still exist. Just like engineer, you would call it him an engineer. So Brahman, if they're doing that kind of work, or Kshatriya, the warriors class was called Kshatriya. But in Jainism, it's not taken the same way as, the division of caste system is not used in the same way as it is otherwise. So now this Khandelwal, as far as I know, in today's times, there's not, most of them are not Jains, okay? But there were times when, so there's two things can happen. Either he was not Jain by birth, yet he wanted to, get to know his soul, who he is, and decided to, read Jain scriptures, and then become so knowledgeable himself that he could, author some books.
Khandelwal mein dono aate, Hindu or Jain. It could be Hindu Khandelwal or Jain Khandelwal.
Jain, right. So, but the reason I bring this up is it happens both ways, right? So there are people who were not born Jain, yet they became very big pundits of Jainism, and then vice versa, of course.
Just like so many great Jain sadhus were not born as Jains too.
Exactly. Yes. So, and then see, today's times we don't have as much emphasis on grammar or I mean, yeah, today they don't encourage as much poems and like Shakespeare was very much encouraged, at least in the times when I went to school and college. I don't know if that much is as appreciated anymore. So good writing, good grammar, all that was very much appreciated. So what they're saying is he was, very well versed with Hindi and Sanskrit, those two languages, and wrote very good quality work. And also, the other thing that they're pointing out is that this Parshva Puran usually means long story. So obviously story of Parshnath Bhagwan. But a lot of these, if they're in the poem form, people used to memorize these and just sing along every day. So, when you memorize a poem and you sing every day, you get reminded, of the gist of it. And so that was a good way people stayed, spiritual in their thoughts. So that's one thing. And even today, like, actually what happened was with the British influence in India, you started teaching kids that Mary, Marius, whatever, all those English poems, because, back in the days, people thought knowing English was the big thing. But prior to that time, people taught their kids religious poems so that the kids would be, get that sanskar from the childhood. And hopefully we can bring that back. So that's it. And of course, his three writings. I mean, some authors wrote a lot. Some authors only wrote one or 1 to 3 books, and those particular books got very popular, and so they got popular. So anyway, so even if it was in the poem form, then they converted it into a story and presenting it here. Okay, let's start now.
Okay, so teacher, I'll read it in English. Teacher
Right.
says, Ramesh, what do you know about Parshvanath?
So I have the Hindi version open, so I hope that's okay.
Okay.
That's fine. That's fine.
रमेश जी, पार्श्वनाथ एक रेलवे स्टेशन का नाम है.
Teacher says, stand up where you are. Don't you know how to answer properly? One should stand before answering. Learn good manners. I asked you about Bhagwan Parshvanath and you were talking about a railway station.
जी, मैं कलकत्ता गया था, रास्ते में पार्श्वनाथ नाम का एक स्टेशन आया था, अतः कह दिया. कुछ गलती हो गई तो क्षमा करें.
Parshvanath is the name of a station also, but do you know why that station is named Parshvanath? There's a hill named Samit Shikhar near to that, from where the 23rd Tirthankar, Bhagwan Parshvanath, attained Nirvana. That is the reason for that station to be called Parshvanath, and the hill is also called Parasnath Hill. This is a crucial pilgrimage site for Jains. Lakhs of people come here for pilgrimage every year. This place is in the district of Hazaribagh in Bihar. Well, it's in Jharkhand now, near Ishri. Besides Parshvanath, many other Tirthankars also attain moksha from here.
And and where was Parshvanath born?
In Kashi, which is also called Varanasi or Banaras today. About 3,000 years ago, Prince Parshva was born at the palace of Varanasi ruler King Ashvasen of the Kashyap clan of the Ishkwaku dynasty. His learned wife, Queen Vama Devi, gave birth to Parshva Kumar on the 11th day of the first fortnight of Posh, lunar month corresponding to December-January of the Gregorian calendar. His auspicious birth was celebrated not only by his parents and their subjects, but also by Devs and Indras with great enthusiasm. Parshva Kumar was inherently talented and possessed extraordinary intelligence and was born with Avadi Dhyan, clairvoyance. He possessed many auspicious characteristics, unparalleled physical strength, and an attractive personality as a child.
Since he was a prince, he must have been surrounded by worldly comforts, right?
Undoubtedly. Along with being a prince, he possessed extraordinary punya. Devas, etc., were also present in his service. This is why he never experienced the lack of worldly possessions, but kingly pomp and material possessions had no place in his heart. He did not have any desire for the pleasures of the senses. Despite living amid luxuries, he was as untouched by it as a lotus is in water. When he became a youth, his parents made great efforts but could not persuade him to marry. He remained a celibate.
Why so?
He was born Atmadhyani, and his mind stayed disinterested in worldly affairs. One day, an incident occurred that shook him to the core. After that, he became a Digambar monk and started pursuing Atma Sadhana.
It changed from Ramesh to Suresh. Did we change the person who was
Yeah,
converted?
there's no
In English,
Suresh.
in English, it is then it becomes student. That's it.
Oh, all of them is just student?
Yes.
Yeah, in English, they all just say student. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, I didn't realize. I'm like, okay, I don't see a change in voice. What happened here? All right, so okay. So far the story is very simple. I mean, if you guys have any questions, I'll answer. Otherwise, the points to be noted are, I mean, of course, he was born as a prince, and so that's the one thing. Just yesterday in the class, we're talking about भगवान की जब वो मूर्ति देखते हैं कि वो कुछ नहीं करते, in the Siddhashila. So one can have a question that, my God, if I reach the Siddhashila, what if it gets boring? You're doing nothing. So the point is that lay people like us can actually have that kind of a question. That you would go to moksha, and then what? Like there's nothing to do. But the point they're trying to make is the fact that somebody went from a princely state or a Chakravarti state, and because they have to relate with what we think as higher right now. What are worldly comforts is all we can think of right now. So yet these all people realize the fact that there's more to it than just these worldly comforts, and attain moksha. And the fact that they've never come back means they're quite happy up there. So,
And just
So-
one quick note too, that I mean, according to the normal historical, studies of history,
Yeah.
Parshvanath was the only historical Parshvanath and Mahavir. But there's actually evidence of Parshvanath in Banaras in the 8th or 9th century BC. Uske pehle, they
Yeah,
don't have actual
that's
historical evidence,
because,
but yeah.
right. See, because, historical proofs goes by fossils, Shillalekh. There's certain temples. If you have, I've seen this in Karnataka, and where you go to some of these temples, and there is actually big stones with writings. So then they have to have something to trace it to certain timeline. And obviously, not everything gets preserved over time. So history can only go back so far because they need evidences. And, or at least, I mean, even if there are evidences, historians don't have a method of, proving it with those. I'm sure, I mean, there are certain things you can still go back further back in time. But yeah, that's the reason, that, but then Adinath existed. The proof is that Adinath is also in the Vedas, in the Hindu Vedas, his name comes. So anyway, so yes, so historical evidences can only go so far back. Just like they have tried to figure out evolution based on fossils, right? Whenever these animals died, their imprint came on the dust, which became rocks later on. And, that's how they figure out the time, how far ago was dinosaurs and all that. So he was born in Kashi. Now, but just remember that, Kashi, now we're talking 8th and 9th century. I mean, you go to India or any place just 20 years later, and the town looks totally different. So, I mean, that's why when you think about it, this fight over Ayodhya, this temple, Ram temple, that, this is exactly the place where Ram was. It's all, not so meaningful. Because Ram happened even way before, I mean, during Munisovrat time, which is way, way, way before even, Parshna. And, who knows what was called Ayodhya back then? Was it exactly the same place? Was it, I mean, you cannot even figure out if the town was in the same place, leave alone that particular spot of the temple and all that. So these things we have to take it with a grain of salt. Now, Samet Shikarji, I always had that question. They say they all went from that hill, right? Now, if you think about it, during Adinath Bhagwan's time, how long ago that was? And how big their size was.
Yeah.
700 Dhanush, which is like I could put 1 foot and be on the top of that mountain. So it's like,
Yeah, and if you actually calculate it 20 years, it's like millions and millions of years. If you
yeah.
Yeah.
So
but that conception of time, we cannot have the same conception of time like we have right now. I think that's the mistake people make. Yeah.
So one has to keep that in mind. So, sometimes people think, oh, exactly this place, this person was born, and that may or may not be true. So, but yes, in general, people try to, so if through these historical stories, I'm assuming if some of the names are still the same, they understand that this is the general kshetra where this happened, right? And who knows in the future, just like there's so many Pittsburghs in USA, right? There's one in California, there's one in Pennsylvania, there's one somewhere else. And that happens too. The same name, it can be in multiple places. So anyway, but at least with these stories, there are actually evidences because there were murtis in the ground which came out, and there are a lot of different ways they figured this out. So that hopefully it's exactly the same, at least same place, same town. So, okay, let's continue. Where were we?
What was that incident? I mean, if somebody can read it, they can read, but yeah, I can continue.
Yeah, if somebody else wants to continue as the teacher, that's okay too.
Okay, Viraj, you
Sure.
go ahead.
Yeah. One morning, he was going for a stroll with his companions. Along the way, he saw that his maternal grandfather, in the guise of a sadhu, was engaged in penance of 5 fires. Amid the burning wood were a pair of cobras, who were also burning. Due to his clairvoyance, Parshvanath saw all of this, and Parshvanath asked him to stop this activity. But no one believed him till the piece of wood was ripped open and a pair of half-burnt cobras fell out of it.
Okay, go ahead, Arunji. You're on mute, Arunji.
Arunji, you're mute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Back to the screen. Other
Yeah,
screen. है वो जल गए हैं ये तो बहुत बुरा हुआ फिर
Then what? Prince Parshva addressed them with a dying sermon, and the snakes breathed their last with Manda Kashai, mild passions. They were then born as Dharmendra and Padmavati in Devlok.
अच्छा हुआ चलो उनका भाव तो सुधर गया
They became Dev. What really is good about that? The real good was that their interest shifted towards a path of spiritual development. This heart-wrenching incident turned the soft heart of Prince Parshva towards Vairagya, renunciation and detachment, and he became Digambar monk on the 11th day of the second fortnight of Posha.
Should I continue, Suresh?
Yeah, that's fine. So one thing to notice here, okay, so the story goes that Nagini ko sambodhit kiya, right? And then Mandakashai, their passions were calmed down, and then they got born in the Devlok, right? So it's, we were just talking about this thing where when somebody's dying, you unko namokar mantra sunao or unko dharmik cheezein sunao, right? So there is this myth that people think last moment, if they listen to dharmic things, they will uske karan unko swarg mil gaya, right? So that may or may not happen. Just something to know. Yes, mant kashai ho gaye, that is true, because when you listen to something spiritual, obviously you're not going to be as much either in pain or anger, or all those things can be subdued. But the fact that they got born in the Devlok does not have to be connected with this. There's this myth, a lot of people think कि हम नमोकार मंत्र सुना देंगे मरते हुए को तो उनकी गति सुधर जाएगी. In general, that's what it is called. And I've had this habit also, that if somebody's dying, I mean, if I see a bird, anything like dying, or any even an animal or bird or anything, right away I'll start chanting. Again, that is not bad, but just don't have that myth that it's going to change their where they would go, because the Ayubandh could have happened prior, and Ayubandh is related to a lot of different things, but that it can still help.
That's a good point. It's the equivalent of bathing in the Ganga and thinking aapke sare paap dhul gaye, right? Because you cannot just say ki last moment mein namokar mantra sun gaye and then all of a sudden you go to Devlok when you've done paap your whole life or whatever, right? So it's kind of the same equivalent of that Hindu concept, okay,
Well, the Hindu concept of Ganga Snan is still a different logic altogether, because
but what I mean is that like last minute in one shot you can get rid of all the karmas, right? Just like when we in this Namakar Mantra book, they're saying people make the mistake, they saying Namakar Mantra sarva papa panasano. That's not what it means, right? So
right. Yeah, so something to keep in mind. Okay, now but the fact that Dev ho gaye to farak nahi padta, because Dev, you can be in this work and still not be interested towards your soul. because Devgati gives you a lot of comforts and you can just be involved with the comforts and never think about spiritual stuff. That can also happen. So what they're saying is ki Dev to ho gaye, but then unki ruchi sanmarg ki or ho gayi. Because of whatever Parshvanath explained to them, they started understanding that they're just not this body of snake. So, okay, continue. Let's.
फिर तो उन्होंने घोर तपश्चर्या की होगी.
Yes, he took a vow, unbroken silence, that absorbed himself in deep meditation. Once he was in a state of contemplation in Ahikshetra forest, when Sarmadev, who was a celestial being now, his arch enemy of some previous life, was passing above him. Seeing Parshvanath, his animosity of their past life rekindled, and he began intense upsarg, torture of monk Parshvanath. He rained water, hailstorms, even conjured a severe storm and showered stones also. But monk Parshvanath remained undeterred in his meditation. And at that moment, on the 14th day of the second fortnight of Chaitra, the lunar month of March, April of the Georgian calendar, he attained Keval Gnan. Seeing his Samvardev was extremely repentant and fell at his feet.
हमने तो सुना था कि उस समय धर्मेंद्र पद्मावती ने पार्श्वनाथ की रक्षा की थी.
How could ordinary Devi protect the Lord of three lokas? He was already wholly protected by his own pursuit of Atma. The fact is that Dharmendra and Padmavati had the thought of putting an end to the attack and that acted on this thought to the best of their ability. After that, for the next 70 years, he traveled the entire Bharatavarsha, India, with the Samaswara, Congregation of Divine Sermon and Omniscient Tirthankar, preaching the fundamental principles of Bhavya Jeev, those who will soon achieve salvation. Through his Divyadhani, divine speech, he always emphasized Atma Siddha, pursuing the spiritual enlightenment in his sermons. He preached that Atma is the repository of infinite knowledge and happiness, and without believing in this, without knowing this, and without submerging in this, no one can ever attain true happiness. Millions of beings benefited from his teachings and attained Atma Santi, inner peace. The great poet Buddha Dasji illustrated the influence of his teachings in his writing. Kai Mukti Jog Bandbhag. Barbhag, some fortunate ones worthy of liberation. Bhaya Digambar Parigraha Tyag, abandon all material possessions to become sky-clad ascetics. Kahani Sarvaka Vrat Adar.
Okay, it says Kin hi Shravak Vrat Adare.
Adre. Kinke nahi Shravak Vrat Adre. Some took vows of a householder. Pasu Prayai Anu Vrat Dhare. Those in lives of animals observe the Anuvrat, partial vows. Kai Nari Ajika Bhai. Many women gave up worldly possessions to become Arjika. What does that mean?
Arjika is, okay. So in Shwetambar Parampara, they call Sadhu and Sadhvi, the ones that take Diksha and become monks.
Right.
But in Ambar Parampara, because the females don't take the same type of Diksha as males. The males don't have any clothes. Females, they look like Shwetambar Sadhvis. They do have the clothing. So, but they don't give them the same category as Sadhvi. Because, in that female version, you cannot go to moksha. So they call them Arjika, because everything else is the same. They still do give up worldly possessions and everything, and they are very similar to the monks, because they're only in the pursuit of their soul.
So you can only achieve moksha if you are a man. Is that what it means?
Yes. Okay. So the way it is that you have to be in the physical male form,
Mm-hmm.
right? Internally, you could be anything,
Right.
right? But physical form has to be the male form before you go to moksha. So let's say today somebody's in the female form, and
Right.
they will go to moksha eventually later.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever that time comes, they may be born as a male and then go to moksha.
Right.
But everything else they can do, so it's really not a big deal. I mean, they can
Correct.
still get some. Yeah.
Yeah. Bharata ke sang one ko gai and went away into the forest like her husband. Kai nar pashu devi deva, many human animals, devi and dev. Samyak ratna lahyo taham eva, attained the true gem of samyaktava, enlightenment there.
Yeah, so they're describing what all happened during Parshnath's time.
Time,
Because
right.
of teachings, all these things happen.
Mm-hmm. Iha vida sabha sahu sabha nivasai.
See, iha vida, wherever
Oh, yeah.
the line on the top, read it as iha vida sabha samuha sabha.
Yeah. Nivasai ananda rupa. In this way, all who came in the congregation are in the state of bliss. Manoman amrata rupa sam sinchata deha anto. As if the body is being blessed and nourished by incomparable nectar. In this manner, imparting sermons at the age of 100 years, he finally attained nirvana, salvation, in the 7th day of the waxing moon in the month of Shravana, lunar month, July, August in the Gregorian calendar. From the Suvarna Bhadrakut, name of the peak at Samat Shikhar.
So some of the points to be noted here are, so one is he lived only 100 years. Mahavir Bhagwan lived only, is it 70 or 72 years, I think. So age was reducing over time. Adinath Bhagwan lived millions of years. Now, the other thing to be noted is that Muni Parshanath can have upsarg or even experience pain. But once they become Arihant, then none of that applies. So when people say Bhagwan ne khaya ya Bhagwan ko dard hua, to Bhagwan ko kabhi dard nahi ho sakta. Only in the Muni form, yes, depending on their state. Then, now they're saying Dev Devi teen lok ke nath ki kya raksha karenge. Okay, so he's, even though in the sadhu form, he's not yet teen lok ke nath, because that teen lok ke nath is only after you accomplish the Arihant state. But he's there, right? He's almost there. So that's why they say ki wo teen lok ke nath ki kya raksha karenge. And in general, we learned that nobody can really help the other person, if it is Devi Devtas, depending on the situation. Sometimes they can be nimit, but not really. They cannot be true protectors. So, but the thing, and then the point to be noted here is that the Narendra Parmavati had the thought of protecting because of their previous association. And this Sangam Dev had wanted to torture him, right? And what did Parshnath do in both situations?
Not attached.
It stayed detached, yeah.
Right. Was he happy that, oh, wow, you guys, I'm sure by now he recognized that the snakes are the same that he, reached before. Or was he happy? Oh, nice, you came back and you're trying to protect me, blah, blah, blah. No,
He was full vitaragi.
right. He did not, even though the other person who, because if even the slightest, if he was bothered by the Sangam Dev who was torturing him, he could not have attained the omniscience, right? He couldn't have become Kevali. And same thing with the Dharnendra Parmavati. Even if he would have gotten the slightest thankfulness, happiness, oh, they're here to protect me, he couldn't have attained Keval Gyan. So it's complete Vitragta. And so those are the key points of this story. If there's any questions, you can go over it. Otherwise, let's move to the Namokar Mantra. Did everybody read the chapters 2 and 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was up to the end of 4 we were supposed to read.
Okay.
3 and 4.
3 and 4. Okay, right. So who wants to go first to summarize it?
I
And you
can
can
go
do it.
first.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Let's start
Like
with
the third chapter is about birth, death, and happiness and misery. So I think what it states is like an individual soul in the any body can only be die and born based on the Ayu karmas, when the expense of Ayu karma or when the Ayu karma rises. And so that says that again, nobody can kill anybody, nobody can save anybody, nobody can bring misery to anybody. In a sense, I cannot kill anybody, nobody can kill me. I cannot make anybody happy, and nobody can make me happy. Similarly, create a misery to me, and I cannot create a misery to anybody, and nobody can. So what it says is like, check out all this mityatva. So engross in yourself, believe that for your death and birth and happiness and misery, you are only the responsible. So with that, the delusion, attachment, aversion can be removed, and then immerse in myself and identify only me can do whatever I can do. It's like I am only the doer of myself.
Do we believe that?
I'm sorry?
Do we believe in that today?
Yeah, we are not really believing in it, but with the
somebody causes some major loss of money to us, or
yes, yeah,
you're kind of not happy with your spouse because they said something mean to you, and what do we think? So she's the cause of my misery right now. I have to put up with this person, or whatever the case is.
Yeah, definitely the passions are there, but this is the true knowledge. Need to hold on to this one and then start understanding, knowing this, realizing this, and bring it in the
and it does it does help reduce the misery, right? The thought of misery. Obviously it's all up here, like what you are as miserable as you think, right? So this knowledge, this understanding should make a difference in our day-to-day lives too.
And also it happens that many times, I recently, my car got accident, even though I did not mean, and it was, it appears to be there is a time it's supposed to happen based on my karma, looks like. So when it happened, instead of blaming somebody, blaming myself, I realized that I used this knowledge that, okay, looks like it is bound to happen, but what needs to be done next? Instead of just blaming myself and others, and then
this had to happen.
Yeah.
So basically, dispassionately, you just keep doing your work.
Yeah, bring the knowledge again and again, because we are not realized once yet. So, but the knowledge is there. So keep reminding ourselves.
But yes, it does help in day-to-day life also, that you do get reminded that nobody else is at nobody else. So it's not just, so let's say, I don't know what kind of accident you had, but let's say somebody rear-ended you, right? You were driving fine. You were just stopped at a traffic light and
Yeah.
boom, somebody came behind you.
Yeah.
And obviously it's too obvious to think, oh, it's not my fault. Obviously this guy hit me.
Oh, there is definitely funny incident happened to my daughter. She's went with a friend sitting in an ice cream parlor. Her car was parked in the parking lot. She was sitting there looking through window. Somebody, while taking out their car, they hit her front and then hit and ran. So she
Yeah.
was watching there. So it's none of her mistake in any sense. So that's
But-
one
but
more
what do you
incident.
do at
But she was meant to suffer that loss, right?
Yeah,
Whatever
exactly,
the cost to fix
exactly.
the car and
Yeah.
all that.
So 2 weeks back, my accident happened, and then she called me third week, and it happened. I say like, oh, cannot even
What
say
do you have
anything
to
to her.
say? Did you have to say that this must have been my karma and it happened, or
No,
why
it
did the guy
happened.
hit
So
her
what
car?
needs to be done next? Correct. I mean, so
Yeah.
instead of going through that misery or suffering again and again, so what needs to happen? It's okay. It's
So-
happening. Correct. I mean, it's
So
again.
that's why I said you have to go through dispassionate action.
Yes,
Jo
yes, yes.
hua wo hua, but
Yeah.
you don't get happy or sad or anything. Jo kaam
Correct.
karna, you have to call the insurance
Yes.
company, get the car fixed. You just do that without any
Yeah,
any
and also
passion.
it's a proof that okay,
Yeah.
based on again, you can think about whatever we did, whatever we did in the past, that karma is giving the fruit now, good or bad. So sense of that gives a relief. Okay, to come be aware of the current situation and take action.
Yes. And
In-
also
in-
what
in-
happens is when your mind is a little more equanimous, you are not as involved in that anger, passion, this
Yeah.
person went and hit my car. And I have seen people becoming so angry. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like you're watching that
Yeah.
somebody's hitting and running your car. I mean, you cannot catch that person
And then
anyway,
after,
sitting up
yeah.
in the restaurant.
And then after 1 week when I was playing tennis, I twisted my ankle.
Oh boy.
So just a series, Sata Vedniya Karma ka
Yeah.
uday,
You
right?
know, in this
Right.
chapter, he
So-
gives a very nice, very memorable example about like mother praying for the child. And I thought that was really
Right.
like, it really hits you because you say every mother prays for the well-being of their child, right?
Yeah.
That they should be the
Right.
best and rich and everything like that. If it was only up to those blessings, then everybody would become rich and famous and
Right.
all those, right? But it
Yeah.
doesn't happen. So it just shows that even a mother who is the closest person to that child, right, has the most, love for that child, even her prayers cannot affect the child's karma. So I thought that was a nice example, the way he gave that.
But yeah, it's interesting that, but at the same time, you don't want to let go of the sanskar of bowing down to your elders. And even I taught my kids, because their grandmother stayed with us. And, every day I would tell them they had to wake up and go touch the grandmother's feet or take ashirwad or all those things, So, you wonder now, should I stop that? Not really. No,
Not
you
really.
still want to keep the sanskar of respecting elders, taking their blessings, but yet not thinking that, oh, because of their blessings, everything will be wonderful.
No, it's the same as Namakar mantra. You're doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
You're saying it as an inspiration, as a mark of respect, but not expecting those blessings to do anything for you. Right?
Exactly. Yes. Yes. So yeah, so that was a very good story, and a lot of points. Any other points from chapter 3 that people can think of that were not covered yet?
Yeah, there's another example for a robber given. The person who keeps the weapon, for that robber would react by killing that person. So basically, the weapons are kept for security, but the reality is the weapons are the reasons for your death, mostly.
Yes.
So whatever, if you run behind the security, that becomes the reason for your death. Like we take the life-saving pills, we call them antibiotic, but basically they can't save your life. So they are
Yes.
killing inside you.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, we see this all the time in the US, right? The gun control stuff, because all these gun industry does not want to stop people having guns, yet these guns, we don't see any examples in the news. The only thing you hear is somebody had a gun and their baby picked it up and shot the mother or the brother or somebody else, right? Versus they don't publicize this, but I have yet to hear a story where they say somebody attacked them and because they had a gun, they saved themselves. So, so yes, those things cannot necessarily save you. Okay, any other points? Otherwise, we move on to the chapter 4. So, who wants to share chapter?
Right to forgive. That it is said that right to forgive is lies with the person whom you have created harm to. So it's not the God to forgive you.
Yes.
We keep praying to God that forgive me for this, forgive me, I did that. But God is nobody to forgive us. So the right lies to that person whom we have harmed.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. So, they say that sometimes, you have a major fight with somebody, let's say, and they have been upset with you for many longer time, right? And they're not going to forgive you if you go to them and ask for forgiveness. They say that sometimes even without being in front of them, you can ask for forgiveness. So, and hopefully someday that dvesh bhav will go away. So yes, so there are some very good points.
Yeah, but we have the Uttama Kshama Dharma, correct? Like that automatically.
No, Uttam Shama is we can forgive somebody, but we cannot make anybody else forgive us.
Correct. But Uttama Kshama, that attitude itself makes us go inside.
Right.
Realize,
but what they're saying, the point they're trying to make is that, don't think there is any God sitting up there who is going to give you. That's the point they're trying to make there. Yeah. Okay. So chapter 4, Dinesh Burarji, have you read that chapter?
Unfortunately, I have not, so I will ask for your excuse. Sorry.
Yeah. All right. How about Nidhi ji? आपने chapter 4 पढ़ा है?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you
I
can
say about it, Babaji.
What's that?
I just came through some of the parts of chapter 4. If you want me to speak, I can talk
Okay,
about
yeah,
it.
let Nidhi ji share and then you can share your
For
part.
sure. Okay. Please, definitely.
Okay. This chapter tells us that कि मैं स्वयं भगवान हूँ और मुझे अपने देह देवल में आत्मा जो मेरी है उसको भगवान आत्मा की तरह देखना चाहिए। तो जब हम देव दर्शन करते हैं तो हमें उसमें अपनी आत्मा को देखना चाहिए। तो इसमें जो हम पूजन करते हैं वो हम बाहर पूजा कर रहे हैं, पर ध्यान रूपी शरीर में मंदिर विराजमान निज भगवान को किया जाता है। तो वो बेसिकली हमारे व्यवहार में हम जो कर रहे हैं और जो एक्चुअली हमारी जिस तरफ दृष्टि होनी चाहिए, मतलब जो हमें सोचते हुए व्यवहार में करना चाहिए वो बताते हैं। इस चैप्टर में वो हमें बताते हैं कि जो अरहंत सिद्ध है वो कार्य परमात्मा है, पर कारण परमात्मा जो है वो आत्मा ही है जिनको आप देखिए। तो एक ये व्यवहार मूर्ता के बारे में बताते हैं कि हम जो है सोचते हैं कि भगवान बाहर है जो हमारे लिए करेंगे, लेकिन एक्चुअली जब तक हम अंदर से चेंज नहीं होंगे, हम अपने आप को नहीं पहचानेंगे, इस सब क्रिया से कोई फायदा नहीं होगा। इसके अलावा यहाँ पे निर्विकल्प आत्मानुभूति निज भगवान आत्मा के आश्रय से होती है। तो वो कहते हैं कि आपका जो मोक्ष का आरंभ है वो सम्यक दर्शन, सम्यक ज्ञान, चारित्र्य की एकता से होता है। मतलब अपनी आत्मानुभूति से शुरू होता है मोक्ष मार्ग। पूजा पाठ से नहीं शुरू होता है। जब आप अपने आप को पहचान के और उसकी अनुभूति करते हैं, ज्ञाता दृष्टा भाव में रहते हैं, अपने आप को हर वक्त ऑब्जर्व करते हैं, वहां से मोक्ष मार्ग शुरू होता है। और इसी तरीके से हमें अपने आप को जानना मानना ही हमारा हमारा ज्ञानानंद स्वभाव जो है उसको जानना आना ही हमारा हमारा धर्म है। और इसके अलावा जो हम अपने आप को दीनहीन समझते हैं, वो एक्चुअली हम दीनहीन है नहीं। हम एक हम सोचते हैं कि जिसके पास पैसा है वो पावरफुल है, या जो मतलब इसी तरह से, जैसे कि इसके लिए वो एग्जाम्पल देते हैं कि जो जब आप कहते हैं कि कांग्रेस का राज है देश में या बीजेपी का राज है देश में, बट एक्चुअली जनता जनार्दन का राज है देश में, बिकॉज उन्होंने चूज किया है अपने रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स। तो हम भूल जाते हैं कि एज पीपल कि हमारे अंदर क्या पावर है, मतलब हम चूज कर रहे हैं। इसी तरह से हम अपने सामर्थ्य को भूल के बैठे हुए हैं, और हम सोचते हैं कि मतलब हमारे दुखों का मूल कारण जो है बेसिकली अपने आप को ना पहचानना है। अदरवाइज मतलब हम सुखी हो सकते हैं, लेकिन क्यों? क्योंकि हम हमारा प्यो बाहर लगा हुआ है पूरे टाइम, तो इस वजह से हम सुखी नहीं हो पाते हैं।
Yeah.
इन्होंने इसके अलावा जैसे ये भी बताया कि अ, एक चमकदार पत्थर है, कंगाल के पास करोड़ों का हीरा है, मगर उससे वो समझता है कि ये पत्थर है कांच का, अच्छा है, इंटरेस्टिंग है, और अपने पास लेके बैठा रहता है और उसको कुछ नहीं करता है, तो वो दरिद्री बना रहेगा। इसी तरह से जो ये हमारे पास साधन है कि हम अपने आप को जाने, तो वो जो है वो हमें रिच कर सकता है स्पिरिचुअली। हम बहुत ही ज्यादा इंडिपेंडेंटली हैप्पी हो सकते हैं, कि हमारे आसपास जो भी हो फिर भी हम हैप्पी हो सकते हैं। बट क्योंकि हम हैप्पीनेस बाहर देख रहे हैं, इसलिए हम उस हीरे की जैसे रखे हुए हैं, पर दरिद्री बैठे रहते हैं। तो इस बात से उन्होंने कहा कि ये जरूरी है कि ज्ञान होना बहुत जरूरी है। मतलब आपके पास क्या है उससे ज्यादा जरूरी है कि आपके पास ज्ञान है कि नहीं, कि आपके पास क्या है, उसका ज्ञान होना बहुत जरूरी
So यहाँ पर हीरा किससे कंपेयर कर सकते हैं? What is हीरा in our life?
आत्मा,
What is that? हाँ,
आत्मा.
हाँ, आत्मा, but also more in व्यवहार, I would say the मनुष्य जन्म. Okay, मनुष्य जन्म is very, very rare. We got it, and if we don't make use of it, that only in this Manushya life is when we have this capacity of understanding dharma, understanding everything. Like, once you get, let's say you become Janvar or Devta or any of the other, you cannot go to that extent of analyzing, understanding. So it's extremely important to recognize that I have gotten this human life, that really should be my only goal to accomplish. I mean, people say after retirement, you should have a purpose in life. Well, there you go. You have the biggest purpose in life, is to know yourself.
And I want to say also that the summary was very good, Nidhi ji. I really appreciated how you explained it.
Very nicely.
Yeah.
Ma'am, shall I continue or others will? I mean, I have other points also.
Yes,
Right. Let's give Bahubali ji a chance to give his points, and then anybody else can also add in, of course. Yes,
think
go ahead.
Arun ji's wanted to tell.
No,
I think, but
Arun
yeah,
ji
I
I
can
just
tell.
had one
Okay,
doubt.
go ahead, say your one point, and then we'll let Arun ji share also.
Yeah, go ahead, Babli.
Oh yeah, for me, the way this chapter is being handled in the context of the story is like the analogy, the Seth and his son. So it says, like, it starts the second paragraph where, like, you are the God, and then it says you can become a God. I mean, if you are already a God, how can you become a God? I mean, this is contradictory. So then the story of a Seth, he has a son. He collected all his money before he died. He created an account. He put a crore in the bank and did not tell anybody. And he's only accessible when he became 18 or something like that. So, but when his dad died, nobody was there. He became a rickshawala,
Right.
and he was pulling the rickshaw to lead his daily life. He didn't know he's a crorepati. So like that, it goes like that. So like when the Atma in this, the body does not know that it is a Bhagwan Atma. So not knowing that, it's just paying attention on other things, and then going through ups and down passions, attachment, aversion, delusions, and then going through a lot of akulate or problems. So it's a like, so to, first of all, when that rickshawala came to know that there is a crore put in his name, so he, once he know when he got the knowledge that he is a crorepati, but that is at least knowledge, jnana, with the jnana he knows, but he don't know how to realize it, how to feel it, correct? So there is already doubts, like he said, like, okay, my name is there, my father's name is also there, but he's going back and forth. So is really me, is somebody else, like that. So even if you know that my soul is Bhagwan's soul, there is a lot of doubt, lot of
Yeah.
viparit, ajnana. So
Mhm.
knowing is one thing, and shraddha is
Feeling it.
another thing. And
Yes.
once he knows and then develops shraddha, and then you need to act on it. That is samyak jnana, samyak darshan, samyak charitra. So
Mhm.
the story has been used many times to bring up these 3 points.
Yes.
So knowing is not enough. You need to
Mm.
have the samyak darshan, the shraddha, and then act on it till you really realize and then completely engross in it in such a way that these samyak ratna, 3 ratna, you'll get
Mhm.
and you feel that you are Bhagavan. So this is
Yes.
very, it really like hit me, like the story with the way it has been, the samyak ratnatraya has been explained in the story at different point of time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very good analogy and very
Yeah,
good
very well.
worthy.
Yeah.
Very well said, Babaji. Yeah.
Mhm. Yes, very good. Okay, Arunji, what did you have to share?
Yeah, I think I just want to endorse the same thing that I read through the story as well. So I think it just reinforces that despite several reinforcements that you are actually Bhagwan Atma, we don't believe that, just like the son of the Seth. There are multiple people telling him that there's several advertisements through the bank and everything. They're asking for somebody to claim the money, but he doesn't believe it. So that I thought was sort of hard hitting in a way that we know as intelligent human beings that that is what is the truth, but we don't tend to realize it. We don't tend to acknowledge or get deeper into it. So I think that way the message was
The
very
logic
important.
is
That
very simple if you think about it. The Jain principles are not that difficult to understand or imbibe, but yet, look at millions of people who are educated people, engineers, doctors, and you will see people running after the Sadguru and running after whatever else, and as if somebody else can do good for you or bad for you.
exactly, and that's another
It
hard
is-
hitting point which came across, that
Yeah.
Jainism actually gives you huge amount of responsibility for yourself, that
Yes,
you
you are
yourself are
your own
responsible for realizing it. And I
exactly.
think that's the key
Yes.
difference, that that concept of guru or whatever is not
And
so
also
much.
it is a
Yeah,
relief
I mean, you
time.
do
Yeah.
meditation messages, but you have to rely on yourself
Yeah.
to swadhyaya, self-study, and realize your own true nature, which is Nij Bhagwan
Right.
Atma. तो इसमें
Yes.
एक क्वेश्चन भी था मेरा, बिकॉज इट टॉक्स अबाउट टू टाइप्स ऑफ परमात्मा. जैसे इसमें बोला है कि अनंत सिद्ध जो है, जैसे निधि जी ने भी बोला, वो
Mhm.
कार्य परमात्मा है, और दूसरा वो कह रहे हैं कि निज भगवान आत्मा है इस कारण परमात्मा. इसका थोड़ा सा
Hmm.
भेद मुझे समझ में नहीं आया, आप थोड़ा सा उस पे
Okay. So Karan Paramatma and Karya Paramatma, these are two terms used in Samaysar and bigger grunts. But for now, for simplicity, I will explain to you that the true reason for your moksha, your enlightenment, everything is you yourself. भगवान जिनको आप देख के प्रेरणा लेते हो is Karya Paramatma. He's just being helpful to remind you that you are same as him. So he's doing the work of reminding you, yet you alone are the reason for your own progress.
Is it can be said that Karana Paramatma is action and Karya Paramatma is a result?
Yeah, but then for them, their own soul was the Karan Paramatma.
Correct. That's what action need to taken is in my soul only. And
Right.
what it becomes is the moksha. That's Aranta
Right.
Siddha.
Exactly. Yes. So what they're saying is, he is the Paramatma right now. You are not in Paryaya. You understand? But my soul is going to be the reason of becoming that future Paramatma. Today it is in the Bhairatma state. Remember, we had that chapter of Bhairatma, Antaratma, and Paramatma. Okay, any other points on this chapter?
I think Jainism
chapters are very well written. They're very, they do hit you, and it's very important.
Yes, with very simple story, it's amazing. It has been explained.
Yeah.
So, ma'am, another thing that I really like, which I would like to bring up, कि वो जब वो एनालॉजी बताते हैं स्टोरी की, तो वो ये बताते हैं कि जैसे ही उस लड़के को ये एहसास हो जाता है, वो मानने लग जाता है कि हाँ मैं करोड़पति हूँ, तो उसका इसके तौर तरीके चेंज हो जाते हैं, उसका बोलने का बैठने का काम चेंज हो जाता है। अब वो उसे बोलो कोई रिक्शा चला दे या कोई छोटा मोटा काम कर दे या पानी ले आ, तो कहता है अब तो मैं करोड़पति हूँ, हाउ कैन आई डू दिस इज बीनीथ मी। लाइकवाइज दे से कि जिस दिन तुम्हें ये एहसास हो जाएगा कि तुम भगवान आत्मा हो, मतलब तुम अपने आप को देखना शुरू करो, परखना शुरू करो, एंड जब अपने आप में रहना शुरू करोगे और तुम्हें अपने अपने अंदर भगवान आत्मा का एहसास हो जाएगा, तब आपको ये भी एहसास हो जाएगा कि आप ज्ञान के घन पिंड हो, आनंद स्वरूप, शक्ति के संग्रहालय हो। और इसमें वो ये भी कहते हैं कि मैंने तो ना जिनागम पढ़ा, ना उनके उपायों का अनुसरण किया, ना जप किया, ना तप किया, ना व्रत किया, ना अपने आप को जाना पहचान, मैं भगवान कैसे हो सकता हूँ। तब ये जो चीज है ये बहुत ही रेलेवेंट है हम लोगों के लिए कि हमने तो कुछ नहीं किया, हम कैसे भगवान बन सकते हैं। तो उसमें वो बहुत अच्छे से बोलते हैं कि आपके अंदर भगवान बनने की कोई बात नहीं, आप तो बने बनाए भगवान हो, स्वयं की अपेक्षा तुझमें भगवान बनना नहीं है, आपको तो स्वभाव से तो तू बना बनाया भगवान ही है, बस उसे जानना है, मानना है और अपने में जम जाना है, रम जाना है। पर्याय में भगवान बनने का उपाय है। मतलब it is a very simple statement, a very impactful statement, very deep statement.
These statements are very, very powerful. The gist is only this. If we could follow, you don't need to study anymore Samaisar and all those grunts. But because just this sentence alone does not hit us enough to do this apne mein ram jana and all that we have to now study more.
So
बाकी बात तो उतनी सी ही है.
I have read a little bit of this Navakar Mantra Anushilan, and what I feel is it's almost like, you're learning a lifestyle. And the most important thing is, I think in order to, if you continue the studies, if you continue these studies, you're constantly reminded of the same thing again and again through different examples, different. It is, you're just being reminded, and the reason why we need be reminded is because हमारी पूर्ण श्रद्धा नहीं है. जब तक हमारी एक बार पूर्ण श्रद्धा हमें मालूम है कि ओके हम करोड़पति है, तो फिर the end of it, I don't need to now do anything else.
Then I do everything just like I'm a crorepati. Exactly.
Right. And sometimes also, yeah, so that son has to be shown कि अरे तेरे बैंक में देख, तेरे को बता रहा है, statement है, तो वो मतलब he has to be constantly reminded by different sources that you have this amount in your bank and you are a crorepati. So the same thing, I think we have to learn it through so many ways. Once हमारी श्रद्धा पक्की हो गई, बात तो simple है.
Yes, exactly. And there's a reason for it, because अनादि काल से अभी तक हम विपरीत श्रद्धा में जी रहे हैं. So to undo that, what has been from infinity past till today, it's going to take some time. So and that time can be different for each person. There are people like Sogani ji is a name. He was a Shravak. He was just a simple businessman. But obviously he must have brought some sanskar from previous lives, that he was very inquisitive of who he is, and he was all very restless that he's not finding this answer. And he went everywhere. Even today we do that, right? Some of us who are into, who like to search, who like this spiritual knowledge, uh, until we get the right thing, we may listen to Hindu priest, we may listen to Jain, this person, that person, until we get to the right place, right? So same way, this is in today's time, this Sogani ji happened. And he went to Calcutta, he went to all kinds of different religions, he went to different temples, he tried everything and wasn't getting satisfied as to what he really was searching. And then he went to Kanji Swami, and he just some one sentence, ki raag mein raag nahi karna, or some sentence like that, and it just hit him. And he just sat that whole night in a room. He closed himself in a room and constantly pondered upon it. And in the morning, he had Samyak Darshan. It can happen that quick for some people. And some can take very long time.
And
So,
that goes back to the same story of Dharmendra and Padmavati कि उन्होंने लास्ट में एक अच्छे वर्ड सुने थे, पर उनके पूर्व जो कर्म थे वो that is what
right,
that
sanskar
brought
wo sun ke gaye.
हाँ. So the last minute was not really the it moment, right? It was, they worked towards that whole thing.
Yes.
I think she's
So
frozen.
now the fact that they were burned at fire, okay. Is it better now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I think my connection is unstable because I'm using somebody's phone data, and I'm sure that data is going down, so speed must be reducing. Anyway, so Dharmendra or Padmavati ka bhi, the fact that they got burnt in that wood is their own asata ka uday, right? So that's why they had to suffer through that pain. But the fact that they got to hear from Parshnath about, here we only said Sambodhit Kiya, but I'm sure Parshnath Bhagwan explained to him why this has happened and what they could do with their soul and all that. So that brought their Kashai very mand, and then gave them the sanskar of future, knowing, trying to know them themselves. So yes, and that is why in today's time, actually in the Adinath Bhagwan and a lot of other times, things were easier because people were very simple. They didn't argue much. So whatever they heard, they absorbed, and they could, quickly get some darshan. But it is more difficult now because the brain, the way the people are, they're very jad buddhi, and they use their mind for wrong arguments. So,
can I just
okay.
add one little thing on the same topic? There's a couple of quotes I've been collecting for many years from Mahavir, from different agams and things, and it's exactly on this topic. And basically, the gist is there's one from Bhagavati Aradhana, one is from Acharang Sutra, one is from Hemachanda Yoga Shastra. But the basic gist is the minute you experience that reality of what your Atma is, all your karmas dissolve instantaneously. So sometimes it takes, I mean, most, the vast, we say, we still have millions of births and, itne incarnations karne hai. But once you realize I'm a karodpati, right? Once you realize Atma ka nature kya hai, 99% wo sab khatam ho jati instantaneously. Yes. So it's really nice to see that, because Yesha, I mean, I'm looking forward to going into the agams and seeing those, directly, but I'm very fond of those.
We will study this in the future also, that, even the time when that we are spending, even this simple, Swadhyay class or whatever, is helping reduce more karmas than by going to the temple, doing vrat upvas, because eventually being with your soul is what is the most fruitful in terms of the soul. So many karmas suddenly shed. Even now, by swadhyaya and by progressing this way, mohaniya karma, a lot of it goes away. Because as your shraddha is increasing, that also happens.
And
So-
Mohini karma is it's called mother of
It's
all
the root
karmas.
cause of everything. Yes.
Mm.
So, okay, very good. So let's get back to the. So again, next week we will read the next two chapters, right? 5 and 6. Okay. So let's go to the next chapter of the last chapter, I guess, of Vitrag Vigyan 2. And that is Dev Shastra Guru Stuti. समय सार जिन देव है जिन प्रवचन जिन वाणी नियम सार निर्ग्रंथ गुरु करे कर्म की हानि. So they're saying ki there is so many three major granth: Samaysar, Pravachansar, and Niyamsar. He's talking about what is the difference between the three. Samaysar Jinadev hai. Samaysar talks about the pure soul. Pravachan Jinvani. Pravachansar Granth talks about everything that was said. Okay, and Niyamsar talks about how sadhus should behave. So those are the three differences between the Shastras. So then let's read the Stuti. It's obviously praising the Dev Shastra and Guru. So let's do each person can do two. Actually, this is the one I would have wanted you guys to okay, in the English version, did they give you the meaning of that?
Yes.
Yes, it's there.
Okay. So they have the Stuti and then the English meaning of it, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Then let's just each person read one stanza and read the meaning in English. How about that? Okay. Let's start with Safalta ji. So Safalta, then Dinesh Burar, then Arunji, then Bahubali ji, then Viraj, then Nidhi ji, then Dinesh ji, and you too. So okay.
Shall I start?
And if someone does not have the English one, we will, the person can read the lines and somebody else can read from the English translation.
Shall I start reading?
Yes.
हे वितराग सर्वज्ञ प्रभो, तुमको ना अब तक पहचाना.
Now try to sing it if you can. He Vitarag Sarvagya Prabhu, tumko na ab tak pehchana.
हे वीतराग सर्वज्ञ प्रभु, तुमको ना अब तक पहचाना. अतएव अतएव पढ़ रहे हैं भव प्रभुवर चौरासी के चक्कर खाना. O Vitrag, detached and Sarvagna, omniscient Bhagwan, you are yet not recognized, and hence, Supreme Lord, is the grind of continuous transmigration in 84 lakh births. One more?
No.
I will sing this one, but Safalta, you can read the English one. करुणा निधि तुमको समझनाथ भगवान भरोसे पड़ा रहा भरपूर सुख कर दोगे तुम यह सोचे सन्मुख खड़ा रहा.
I believed you to be abundantly merciful, and hence did nothing for myself, trusting you to do everything for me. I just stood in front of you, thinking you will make me abundantly happy.
Okay, so you understand what's happening? That पहले वाले में उन्होंने बोला कि I did not even recognize. So this is the mistakes that we have done in the past when we go to the temple and we are standing in front of the Bhagwan and not realizing what are we here to appreciate. That we are there to appreciate the vitragta in Bhagwan, right? अभी तक हमने वो समझा ही नहीं कि भगवान में क्या देखना था, और इसीलिए हम ये 84 के बर्थ एंड लाइफ साइकिल्स में घूम रहे हैं. And then the second one says that again, when I stood in front of you, I thought you are the most merciful. You'll fix all my problems, and expected everything from you, and just dependent rather than knowing and being self-dependent. I was expecting that you would make me happy, but that is not the truth. So, okay, good.
So I'll read the Hindi one, and then somebody can read the English one. That'll be great. तुम तो निरी जग से कृत कृत इतना ना मैंने पहचाना, प्रभु वीतराग की वाणी में जैसा जो तत्व दिखाया है.
I think you read the wrong
Yeah,
lines.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
वीतराग
वीतराग हो लीन स्वयं में, कभी न मैंने यह जाना, तुम हो निरीह जग से कृत कृत इतना ना मैंने पहचाना.
I can read.
Okay.
I never realized that you were absorbed within yourself, completely detached from the world. You are devoid of any desires, as you have done all that needed to be done, and nothing more left to do. In my ignorance, I never realized this fact.
Mhm.
I can read the next
So,
one.
yeah, that again, I didn't understand the true Dev, what their characteristics are, right? So, so we are, see, this is a stuti, right? We are appreciating Dev and realizing our faults, what we didn't know in the past, and now we know what is the Dev ka Swarup. Okay, who was next?
I can read Bahubali.
Okay, go ahead.
So, प्रभु वीतराग की वाणी में जैसा जो तत्व दिखाया है, यह जगत स्वयं परिणमशील केवल ज्ञानी ने गाया है. O Vitaraga Prabhu, the detached Lord, in your divine teachings, the essence of all tattvas, entities, is shown as it is, and beings, Kevala Jnani, omniscient, who knows everything. You have stated that the nature of this world as inherently changeable. In the original version, this is जो होना है सो निश्चित है केवल ज्ञानी ने गाया है, which means whatever is to happen is certain. This has been revealed by the Kevala Jnani, omniscient.
Very good. So do you understand the difference? See, in a lot of religion, especially the most common one that we get to hear all the time, they say that Bhagwan can do everything. Koi cheez Bhagwan ki ichha ke bina nahi hoti, right? As if there is somebody up there deciding everything for you. But that is not the case. That Bhagwan can only know what is happening, what will happen, what has happened, and can present it to you. But he cannot make it happen.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the biggest myth that the world today lives with. They think somebody else up there is the controller and doing everything. But they're saying this whole world is changing. It is changing constantly and by its own means, not somebody else is doing it. So Keval Jnani has only informed us of that. So,
Prabhuji,
okay.
one thing I have difficulty is like sometimes you feel like if everything is planned or jo hona hai wo hoega, so then how much can we really affect it, or are we just supposed to observe and let it just happen?
No, so this is one of the biggest myth, not just myth. It's again, you're absolutely correct that it's very difficult to conceptualize this, and everybody who learns the Scrum but Pariyai keeps thinking that, oh, if everything is fixed, then what do I need to do? No, because you don't know that. Keval Gyani knows. We don't. So we still run our lives as if it's not Nishchit, but still believe that it is Nishchit. So when you believe it is, see what happens, the mistake we make is that when we think of everything is predetermined, we want to count some things are predetermined, yet what I'm doing is not. No, the Purushartha I'm doing is also predetermined. So automatically things will fall into place. But you don't tell the child, let's say now you know everything, right, Viraj? But would you tell your child that don't study, it's already predetermined whether you're going to pass or fail?
No, right.
The fact that you are going to tell your child to study so that he can pass is also predetermined. So every action is predetermined. The mistake we make is we only think of the results being predetermined. No, the whole process is also predetermined.
Yeah, so if the child is studying, that's also
it doesn't
predetermined.
matter that the fact that it's predetermined. We're still going to act the way we think, and somebody will suggest something to us, and we will react, and we will increase our knowledge and scars. All those things will still happen. But the only thing that changes is the peace of mind when something goes wrong. That way. When we have a lot of this entanglement, there are situations that happened and you're like, this should have happened, or this could have happened. If you had done this, this would have happened. And a lot of that goes in the families. So that can be a little calmed down with this, knowing the fact that, it is predetermined. That's the only way it helps you. So.
Oh, thank you.
But believing in it is very important. Because Vitrakta, the Sarvagyata, is very much connected. Because logically it makes sense. How would a Sarvagya know anything, all the future, if it's not determined? You understand?
Yeah. Right.
He's not making it up. He cannot make it. He can only know. So knowing that fact that he can only know, things have to be predetermined, and that's the only reason he's able to know. Just like in a movie, when we watch a movie, right? Let's say we are in the middle of a movie. Now, that whole screenplay had to happen for us to know. If it had not been recorded, you couldn't know.
Right.
But at the moment, we don't know. So let's say you were watching a replay of a game. Right? It already happened.
Right.
But when you are watching the replay, you don't know the end. You're still as excited. You're still as, whatever your reactions may be. But yet you know that I'm watching a replay. So the end result has already happened or known to somebody.
Right.
So in our case, the end result is, or all of the whole process and the whole thing is known to Evely, but not to me yet. That's the only difference.
Okay.
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 So who was next after, was it Bahubaliji? You were?
I just finished. I mean, I can.
Right.
Continue.
So who was next? Was it Nidhi?
I'll read.
Okay.
उस पर तो श्रद्धा ला न सका, परिवर्तन का अभिमान किया, बनकर पर काक अरता, अब तक सत का न प्रभु सम्मान किया.
Okay, who has the English version?
I could not.
Okay,
Go ahead,
she's
please.
going
Go
to.
ahead.
I could
Yeah.
not bring myself. I could not bring myself to believe this, being proud of others' transformations. I believed I'm the doer of others' actions until now, and did not honor the inherent nature of all entities that exist.
Mhm. So what happened is that I didn't do the proper, what I was supposed to believe in. And then where am I, what am I focusing on? My current paryaya. I'm rich, I'm poor, I'm intelligent, I'm not so intelligent, all those things, right? And why? Because I think I'm the doer. And Satka no Prabhu Samman kiya. I didn't understand, believe in the truth. So when you go to Bhagwan, you're not only praising Bhagwan, you are also realizing your own mistakes. So you see where he's praising Bhagwan, Bhagwan's attribute, and yet realizing the mistakes of self. And that's why he is not Bhagwan yet. So this gives you an example. What do you do in the mandir? When you go in the mandir, you do Bhagwan's stuti, you do Bhagwan's praise, yet you also realize your mistakes, and hope to progress further. So here we finish the Dev part of this stuti, and the next line will be about Shastra. So go ahead, Dinesh. Yeah, Dinesh and Dipali.
Okay, शास्त्र का पार्ट है।
Mhm.
भगवान तुम्हारी वाणी में जैसा जो तत्व दिखाया है, स्यादवाद नय अनेकांतमया समय सार समझाया है। O Bhagavan, in your divine teachings, the essence of all tattvas and entities is shown as it is. The essence explained in your teachings is Samaisar, pure Atma, that is Anikantamaya, has multiple dimensions through Syadvad, principle of quoto modo, and Naya, knowing from a particular viewpoint.
What is Swat principle of Kodomodo?
I have never heard that in my life, quoto modo.
Through Swadwada. And they, huh?
Syadvad.
Syadwad, yeah. They call that Kodomodo.
That's weird. Okay, which version are you guys on this English? Is this I'm assuming this is the newer
Still two,
English,
so yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's strange. Can anybody has ChatGPT on their phone
Yeah,
or
I'm
something?
looking at quoto it's a Latin. It means in a certain or specified manner, but I don't think that's so that might need a revision.
No, I don't really want that word in there. I want Sadhvat to be explained a little better.
I think we
Okay,
understand Sadhvat better than Kodomodo. So
okay, so I'll have to bring that up with the translation team. I don't know how they reviewed and didn't realize this. Okay.
Syadwad is a theory of non-absolutism. That's what it says. Basically, more like using shayad ye ho sakta hai, shayad ye nahi ho sakta hai.
Ah,
Yeah.
right. Doctrine of conditional statements.
Is that in a certain perspective, this is true. In another perspective, something else is true. That's what it is all about. So, oh well, it's okay. So we'll have to remove the terminology there. So, okay. Speaking of that, I don't see Amitji today, right?
no, he said he couldn't make it this week's class.
Got disconnected.
Oh, did we get disconnected?
I think we lost Prabhuji.
Let's give her a minute.
There's this professor who teaches about, he teaches the people who give these exams in India to be commissioners and whatnot. He's given a very good lecture on Syadwad. If you get a chance, if I find a link, I'll share it with you.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Jain Darshan.
Yes, my connection is low. That's some time at the lower. I think it's a bit. So if you don't pass, if it does not pass that long, then if you don't see, just and some of the honesty. Okay? So
Sorry, Prabhanti, you got cut off about 2 minutes ago. So if you were talking, we didn't hear you, and abhi bhi aap thoda cut aa rahe.
Maybe we can read and finish it. Okay.
I can read the next one. उस पर तो ध्यान दिया न प्रभु विखता के समय गमाया है शुद्धता न हुई मन में जो मन को उधर लगाया है. I did not pay attention to that. Rather, I wasted my time. Samay also means my inherent pure soul. On wrong topics, useless gossips. Neither did I get interested in the Shuddhatam, Samaysar, or pure nature of self, nor did I try to turn my mind towards it.
You know what this means? Viktame Samaya?
Vikata means it's like gossiping.
Oh,
Katha is story and
right.
bad story, wrong.
Okay.
Does anybody want to read the next one?
I can go.
Madam said we'll give you one more try. Otherwise, someone do Jinwani Stuti and end class. That's what she said.
Okay.
But she's there.
No. Let's hold. She's giving one more try, so we can keep on reading it.
Okay.
I can read the next one.
Yeah. Go ahead, Balu.
मैं समझ न पाया था अब तक जिनवाणी किसको कहते हैं प्रभु वीतराग की वाणी में कैसे क्या तत्व निकलते हैं. Until now, I did not understand what does Jinvani, divine discourse, truly mean. And from the teachings of Vitarag, how is the essence extracted and what is that essence? So somebody can start the next one.
Yeah, I can read the next one. If somebody can support me with the English one.
Yeah, I can do that.
राग धर्म राग में अब तक ऐसा जाना था शुभ कर्म कमाते सुख होगा बस अब तक ऐसा माना था.
Until now, I believed attachment to be dharma and dharma to be in attachments. The prevailing belief that simply being that accumulation of auspicious karmas will give happiness.
Should I continue reading in Hindi?
I don't know if I'm visible.
Okay.
Let me Stuti and end.
Okay.
Oh, we were just continuing, Auntie. We can hear you. If you want to finish, we can continue.
It's almost we're only 5 minutes away from the time, so let me just end it. Sahajanandi Avinashi hu Atma Swarup Sahajanandi Shuddha Swarupi Avinashi hu Atma Swarup Sahajanandi.
Shuddha Swarupi
Avinashi.
Avinashi Atma Swarup. I don't remember the next part. Nija Nija.
Safalta ji knows.
निज निधि निज में बताए हैं
ये
यह
परम उपकार है इसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना शत बार है वंदना शत बार है
Jai
Jai
Jinendra.
Janan, everybody.
Jai Jinendra, everybody.
See you all next week.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see you next.
So next week we're doing Naukar Mantra. We got to read the 2 chapters, right?
Chapter 5 and 6.
Yes.
And yeah, I suggest maybe try to do Vitrag Vidyan 3, maybe the first 1 or 2 chapters if you can.
So
Probably.
did we find out where the final English version is for?
Yeah, it was email. It's on the group chat, and
Yeah.
I also got it by email. You have to request access to it,
Right.
but it's in a different format than it is here. Like it's like in these tables.
Oh, I see.
So, yeah.
Okay, I've requested the permission, so hopefully access, so they'll send it to me. Yeah.
No, but you can still open it.
Oh, you can.
The link is the link is shared by Prabhaji.
Oh, okay. All
And then
right.
there's also this one. Do you
Yeah.
have this one?
That I
Viraj?
have, but Hindi is a
that's the
little
old
tough
one, old version.
Yeah. Hindi is
Okay.
a little tough for me. Yeah.
It doesn't
Okay.
have the first chapter.
Bye, everybody.
No, sorry, Safaldaji. Go ahead.
Yeah, it doesn't have the first chapter.
Okay.
That's what I said. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
actually, are you talking about the Vitrag Vigyan 3?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Prabhaji.
Yeah, the first chapter was translated later separately. So I will ask them to combine it with this, and that way you can have it all.
Okay.
Yeah, we're trying to do a little tight on security. Recently, there was a little breach in these files, so
Mhm.
we're not going to be able to keep it, open-ended. So, but yeah, hopefully by next week we will have that first chapter combined with this,
Mhm.
and that way you can have the full latest version.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, I know it started with Janwani Stuti, but I think my connection got lost in between. So somebody can finish that and we can end the class.
We
Yeah,
finished
they
it
finished.
already. Anand. We already
Finished.
finished.
Okay. Just discussing amongst yourselves.
Yeah, हमने
Yeah.
कर लिया. We finished Jinwani Stuti, और हम just ऐसे discuss कर.
Okay, very good. All right, no problem.
Okay, Jai Jinendra. See you
Okay.
next.
Jai Jinendra.
Jai Jinendra.
Jai Jinendra.